Hello there, hello. This is Joyce at Medusa Was Framed, and I'm ghostly hiding here between the Unguru logo. You can find my classes coming soon on the ungurulife.com site. At Unguru, we are a private business club, research team, and life skills ensemble of all sorts. Interesting topics and explosions. And yes, this is what I look like. And I'm sitting where I always sit, which is on my butt on the floor in front of the couch with my computer on. And I'm doing this today because I want to share some stuff with you that I need to show you with my hands. So something that I'm going to be doing on Guru is offering instruction into a variety of the therapeutics that I offer in my work, but also for you to live a better organized life as well. I am actually an athletic therapist by trade. COVID changed the landscape for people like me. All the work in athletic sports rooms and for places like Ironman and WWE and all that good stuff just dried up when the excitement began. Even though I live in Florida, that is still the case. It all dried up. And fortunately, I had always studied the things that were interesting to me, as well as just developing my career skill set. And it's a big skill set you need to get into pro sports. I can tell you that. It is not something that you learn just by graduating from massage school and working at a spa. You know, it takes years and tens of thousands of dollars to get where you need to be. But anyway, so I always studied the integrative, alternative woo kinds of things along while I was studying the structural integration and the kinesiology and all that good stuff that you need to, orthopedic assessment, all that good stuff that you need in a crisis situation, a game, for instance. I study the woo things too. I study the energetics like Reiki and sound therapy with singing bowls and tuning forks and all that stuff. And I'm glad I did, because though I tried my best to integrate it when I could back then, which wasn't always. If you're working in a college athletic training room, they're not really interested in your woo-woo. So some of my private clients were. But I found a lot of these things very helpful. And so now I used to make my living doing athletic therapy, whether I was working at a college, I used to work at University of Central Florida, or at a sporting event, or for a team. I worked for WWE and Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, anyway, those days are gone. And much of what I do now is more of the woo, integrating the woo. But I also like to educate people. When you work on pro athletes or elite athletes, like an Ironman, Ultraman, Decaman athlete, they know what makes their body work and what will impede its working. They know. And actually, very little of it has to do with muscles. People think muscles are everything. They're not. They're the least dynamic factor in the equation. I know that's not what you find out when you Google what's going on with your knee. Oh, it's my hip flexor. No, it's rarely your hip flexor. And not muscular. Anyway, so what I did tonight is I gathered some of my tools of my trade along with some water. I want to show you these things and I want to talk to you about them because you might have been interested in sound therapy, singing bowls, tuning forks, biomagnetic, Reiki. You might have been interested in those things. How does this work? Why does this work? I'm just going to give you a little kind of overview. Also, anybody can go to Amazon and buy a set of tuning forks and buy a singing bowl or a set of singing bowls and sit down and watch some YouTube videos and say, I'm a sound therapist. I do sound baths. No, it's not that simple. It's really not. You might like the way it sounds, but those are just hucksters trying to separate you from your money. People who are really interested in these things train. And all the things that I mentioned, tuning forks, singing bowls, anything about sound and vibration, and certainly medical magnets. This has been part of the medical therapeutic world in the ancient world as long as man has been alive. But no doctor is going to tell you that or write you a script for it, right? Just like doctors didn't used to recommend chiropractic or acupuncture, right? They thought it was hoo-hoo, woo-woo. But we found out that it works. Though there can be hucksters in that too. And just because you have a chiropractic license doesn't mean that you've got the heart to do it for all the right reasons. Just because you're a doctor of Oriental medicine and you have a degree to practice acupuncture doesn't mean you have the heart to do it for all the right reasons, or after a certain point you lose the heart and it's just business to you, right? Same with doctors. Anyway, let's start with singing bowls. Now I have some crystal singing bowls, but I didn't bring them in from the car. What I have here are the 7 metal ones. Sing. So let me tell you about this. There's 2 kinds of metal singing bowls, and this is good for you to know if you're going to go buy one. There are bowls that are referred to as 7 metal hand hammered. They include the 7 metals in the same combination of the 7 metals that bells are made out of. Okay. Bell, that ongoing vibrating resonance. That's a 7 metal hand hammered. They're made with the 7 metals and they're literally hand hammered. And then there are the bowls that are basically brass, copper, and tin. 2 metals. They're heated, they're made in a cast mold. They're cheaper. They're usually ornately decorated. They have a different shape. We'll talk about that in a second. And they're much cheaper. Well, that's because there's 5 less metals in them and they're faster to make. You can produce them very quickly. You're heating metal and you're pouring it into casted molds. I don't have one to show you because I don't own one. But you see how this bowl, the sides go up straight. That's because this bowl was literally hand hammered when it was hot, like a farrier hammering a horseshoe. And it's thin because it's been hand hammered and then it's been lathed. If you get a cast one, they're usually thick because they're poured into a cast. They can't be thin, they have to have thick walls. And they're usually more this shape. It is the pulling that is done when the metal is hot that creates this shape. But it's also the importance of this long wall that allows it to sing. Now the other ones will sing too, and I don't think that the sound is probably very good for you. The cast ones will sing too, but not with this tonal quality. You'll know the difference if you hear them. Also, the 7 metals that are in this are blended for the variations in their tensegrity, the way that they all blend together and affect the sound, but also the vibration that the bowl gives. Now I'm holding this bowl and I'm playing it, and I can feel it vibrating all the way up to my shoulder. That's part of the seven metals and the variation of harder metals and softer metals. The cast bowls, you will not feel it vibrating up to your shoulder. It's not soft enough. It doesn't have enough tensegrity. Tensegrity, the way you change one part and you change the whole structure, kind of the way the fascia in our bodies work. So the difference basically is a hand-hammered 7 metal bowl is considered a therapeutic bowl because you can use it to place on people and they feel that vibration in their body. Before there were those guns, what are those guns? With the ball on the end? I can't think now. Pure wave, hypervolt, before there were all those guns. Yeah, it's been a long time, I guess, since I worked in athletic training rooms. They were everywhere, and I can't even remember what they're called now. These were the hypervolts of Asian aid, Near East and India and Asia, thousands of years ago. These are actually still used in Nepal and India for pain relief and therapy, the way you would use one of those guns. Essentially what it does is it creates an opportunity for the lymph to move. And the vibration, in the same way that the gun, the hypervolt or whatever gun, it creates a distraction to the nervous system, therefore it relieves pain because it's a distraction. But also it's creating an uneven, it's creating movement, which is allowing lymph to move through the area, blood to move through the area, and that therefore also adds to analgesia or pain relief. Now the 2 metal bowls, the cast bowls, just don't have that therapeutic effect. They sound good. They can also sound really crappy. But they don't have that ongoing that these do. And someone's going to say, what are the 7 metals? Let's see if I can remember them. Copper, zinc, gold, silver, lead. I don't remember the other 2. The 7 bell metals. I don't remember them. Doesn't matter. Okay, enough about that. So, but here's the deal. Okay, it takes 5 or 6 men an entire day to make something like this. And that's why a bowl like this will cost you about $200. That's why, because it took 5 or 6 men a whole day to make it, because it's not made in a factory. It's not made by a machine. It's made by men putting a slag of metal into a fireplace, pulling it out and hammering it and hammering it and shaping it and then putting it back in and hammering it and hammering it the way a farrier works. So a bowl like this is going to cost you close to $200. Whereas one of the cast bowls might cost you 50, maybe. If you see a cast bowl this size, 7 inches in diameter, that's more than 50 or 60 bucks, you're being hustled. Don't pay for it. Equally, if you see a bowl this size, doesn't matter how pretty it is, that people are saying is hand hammered or 7 metals, if it's less than $100, you're also being hoodwinked. You're not getting a 7 metal hand hammered therapeutic bowl. You're not going to find one for under $100. I mean, I think this bowl was, I bought this bowl many years ago, but I think it was 160 when I bought it. I bought it several years ago. Okay, so there's that. So now, if you just like to have a bowl, you know, you have your little practice, whatever it is, or you have your coffee in the morning and you just like to play your bowl, you just have a little therapy around that. It really doesn't matter what kind of bowl you have. The size doesn't matter. Whether it's 7 metal or brass, it doesn't matter. It won't ring this long, no. A cast one won't. Okay. You can buy an inexpensive one. You know, there are bowls that are this size or smaller. This is 5 inches. I've seen cast bowls on Amazon that were like 3 or 4 inches that were like $25. You know, if all you want is the sound, fine, fine. But it's not therapeutic. You won't be able to put it on yourself or put it on someone and create that vibrational experience. When people do sound therapy with singing bowls, they will surround your body with singing bowls and they will place bowls on you and they will play them all at different times. You know, they will use the bowl like a hypervolt gun and they will move it to bring fluid movement and all that stuff while they're playing it. It's hard for me to show you, but you know, the vibrating bowl, they'll move around like they would a hypervolt gun. If you want to learn to do sound baths, you can email me and I'll help you with that. But I'm also going to suggest to you that you drop the money and buy the good stuff. Don't buy those cheap cast bowls. You're going to suck. You're not going to fill the room with sound. They don't sound as good. Now, the other thing are the crystal singing bowls, and I have a couple in my car, but I didn't bring them in. They're sand, you know, they're glass that color may or may not be added to. They're not therapeutic in the sense that, well, you can place them on someone's body, but there's no vibration that will come directly through the bowl into the body the way that these will. They sound good. Actually, they make more noise in a room, I think, than the 7 metal ones. And that's why I have both. And I don't have any suggestions to you for which ones to buy. They all sound different. And there is a little bit of difference about whether they're really square all the way down to a flat surface or if they're bowl shaped There is a difference in sound and what's the word I'm looking for? The way the sound travels, the velocity of the sound. There is a difference in the shape, but that's something that you're really going to be better off experimenting with your own. If you want to buy bowls, think about what you can spend and look around, and don't necessarily buy the most expensive one. It's not necessarily the best. Buy metal bowls from people who sell lots of metal bowls and can talk to you about it. I would recommend that you purchase bowls. If you can't go somewhere and listen to the bowl yourself, then I would suggest that you buy a bowl from someone who has enough resources and intelligence in what they're doing to offer to you the different ranges of bowls, right? You want C, D, E, F, G, A, or B. Root chakra, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Which one do you want? Where do you want to start, right? That's how the crystal bowls are sold. And usually you buy them based on that. You're desiring a heart chakra green bowl or something. 7 metal bowls aren't made that way to be a certain key. They end up being that way through the process. But the only way you know what key they're in is if you, I use a tuner app on my phone. So I'm just suggesting to you that you buy a bowl from someone if it's your first bowl and you can't go hear it yourself, to buy it from someone who, you could put a little note in the purchase notes saying, I'm looking for a solar plexus E bowl. Can I have a 6-inch E bowl? Which means they're going to have to take the time to go through the bowls and key it to their little phone app, right? So if the people you're buying the bowls for aren't willing to do that, I wouldn't spend money with them because they're just selling products. They don't care. The people that make these in Nepal, this is now a legacy craft. This is done by people who have been doing this for generations, whose fathers or uncles or older brothers did this and taught them. So this is a legacy craft. So the woman that trained me, or the family that trained me, and who I'm going to recommend to you 100% of the time, if you want to buy therapeutic 7 metal hand hemming singing bowls, is Eastern Vibration. EasternVibration.com. They're in West Palm Beach, Florida. They have a home in Kathmandu, and they work with the artists personally in Kathmandu, Nepal, where the bowls are made and where all the little textiles are made. The woodworker who makes the sticks, all that stuff. Christine and Jamal. If you want a singing bowl, get it from them. It's not going to be cheap. 7 metal good bowls aren't cheap, but Christine is very particular. She can tell you the name of every single artist involved in the process. She offers education, and and so will Jamal. They'll both give you a lot of information and education. So anyway, okay. Singing bowls. Also, another thing that people think is the size of the bowl has something to do with the note. No. Now, again, if you're talking about crystal singing bowls, they're made, I don't know how it is that they're crafted. I can't talk to you about how it is that they're made that way. So every green bowl that comes out of this batch is going to be an F heart chakra. I don't know how they do that. I can't talk to you about that. I know that they're blown, they're blown on long, not blown by people blowing them, but they're blown on a long thing, you know, it's automated. The size of the bowl has absolutely nothing to do with the key of the bowl. Now, this big 10-inch bowl does happen to be a C, root chakra, because I ordered it that way. I wanted a big bowl for the root chakra. This bowl feels really good, right? Right, you know, right on your tummy. You lay it on your tummy and you play this bowl. But the size of the bowl does not matter. This tiny bowl is not necessarily a B bowl, which is your crown chakra. One has nothing to do with the other. When the bowls are being made in the workshops, there is no thought of what key they're going to be. That's not going to be known until the metals have cooled. But just like, you know, you have different scales, you know, you have different C's all over the fretboard of a guitar. You have different C's all over the piano. You have different notes in different scales. And if it's a high or a low C, right, has nothing to do with the size. What the size, I know you probably can't hear. A smaller bowl, because it doesn't have as much space for those fantastic Faraday waves go zoom, 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 back and forth, right? A small bowl is not going to be as rich, regardless of the key it's in. The bigger the bowl, the richer its resonance will be, because there's more space in here for those Faraday waves. Ding, 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 ding. Also, because these are 7 metals and there are soft metals in here like copper, they will change. I live in Florida. I bought these bowls many years ago. They've changed. Some of them have sharped or flatted. They're still the same key, but they're sharper or they're flatter. If it's really cold outside and they've been in my car, they sound a little different than if it's 95-degree Florida. So that's another factor. The crystal bowls never change unless you break them, which I've been doing a lot of lately. Okay, singing bowls. I think I've talked to you enough about that. Let's talk about tuning forks. Now, there are different kinds of tuning. What's the difference? It's probably the type of tuning fork that you're used to, the 2 tines, as opposed to this type of tuning fork, which has these weights on the top. The purpose of this tuning fork, which is known as an osteophonic tuning fork or an orthopedic osteopathic tuning fork, is that the weights on the end force the vibration back down the handle so that you can put them on the body. And you feel them like a Theragun. There are a lot of acupuncturists who, after they place the needles, will put an auto, they're called auto for short, tuning fork on top of the needle to add to that vibrational impact. And then some companies have these cool little attachments that you can put on the bottom of the handle of an auto tuning fork to increase its space in touching you. So if you wanted to, you can move it. Or this one's remarkable, right? Slides all over. Though you can hear these, the sound is not as resonant because mechanically so much has forced the frequency down. These are the more traditional tuning forks, and these are you to use more magnetically in your plasma field, etheric field, your biomagnetic field. And lots of different sizes. Every fork is going to be a specific frequency, and they don't change. They're an aluminum alloy. They're fairly stable. This one is for chakra G, part of the Vesica Pisces, part of the perfect fit of the Fibonacci sequence. Different sizes, different frequencies. And so from a therapeutic standpoint, it's fairly obvious what you could do with a tuning fork like this, right? You can really get in to an area, especially if it's a frequency that's aligned for that area or that tissue group. That's a whole nother story altogether. Very good for pain. And then these you use more for combing your biomagnetic field. So think of combing your aura, essentially, is what you're doing. You're combing your aura, you're feeling for restrictions, but you're also absorbing that sound. Now that's the case with singing bowls too, but they're not as specific. These are frequencies, specific frequencies. So you can pick your forks depending on the kind of work you want to do, or for the part of the body that you want to work with. Or if you want to do neurological work, then you can work with the tuning forks that are toned to the brainwave states, alpha, beta, theta, gamma, right? That's very effective for small children, babies that might have been born with different kinds of issues, or I've worked on a lot of wounded veterans, wounded warrior veterans with a lot of PTSD and head injuries, and the brainwave forks work really well. Or there are sets of tuning forks for everything, absolutely everything. This is part of the brainwave set. I just grabbed, this is theta. So theta is when you're starting to wake up in the morning and that twilight that you go into before you absolutely fall asleep. Theta. Okay. All kinds of tuning forks that do all kinds of things. There's a lot to be said about how you can use tuning forks. There are also some really crappy tuning forks that you can buy, and there's a difference between stainless steel tuning forks that don't have a lot of resonance and aluminum alloy tuning forks which have long resonance. Now, if you just get stainless steel tuning forks, they're going to be cheaper. They're harder, and that hardness prevents them from having that long, nice resonance. They're also not as powerful if they're autos, because there's not so much vibration up here. There's not as much vibration that's going into you. So that's another thing, but they're cheaper. again, like with the singing bowls, you can find out what you're getting somewhat based on the price. If, there are different price ranges for tuning forks. The aluminum alloy ones cost a little bit more. But there's a reason for it, because there's more work involved in them. But in the long run, they're more effective. I'll give you an example. Let me see if I have them with me. I don't have all my stuff with me here. I do have some stainless steel tuning forks. Stainless steel tuning forks are usually the forks that are used, 440A to tune an instrument. Those are usually stainless steel because it doesn't matter. You're not using it therapeutically. It's just for a tonal quality and getting that sympathetic vibration with the string of the guitar, for instance, or the piano, and the tone of the fork. So these are stainless steel. They're really hard. They don't have a lot of resonance. They don't resonate very long. And there's very little that I feel in my hand. They were very inexpensive though. I thought I'd try them. This is the harmonic spectrum here. They were very inexpensive, and I'm able to use them, but they're not as good. There was a big price difference. So I got them because I wanted to see how they work. So now I know. Want to buy tuning forks? I'm going to recommend you go there. Soma Energetics. There you go. They also have education. Good education. I've taken all their courses. Actually, I've taken all the tuning fork courses that you can take. And pretty much, if I can find the book, the best tuning forks are made by this guy right here. And his company is Biosonics. Anyway, Biosonics, Jean Boulin. The best tuning forks are made by him. They make the tuning forks for Soma Energetics. Get your tuning forks here. This is the hockey puck. And I'm not making any money off of any of this. I'm just saying. I don't make any money if you buy a singing bowl from Eastern Vibration. I don't make any money if you buy tuning forks from Soma Energetics. But this is the hockey puck that, used to activate the tuning fork. With the autos, you hit this part on the heel of your hand, or sometimes I hit it on my hip if I'm walking around a massage table with them. Anyway, sky's the limit with tuning forks. There's tuning forks for every potential frequency. The other thing you can do with tuning forks, and this is where the real therapy comes in, is whereas you can create a key, a harmonic trio or a chord with singing bowls. I mean, you can too with tuning forks, but more importantly, you create binaural beats. So you've heard of binaural beats. That's the whole thing about, you listen to this music with headphones and you're all. So you've got one frequency coming in one side of your brain, another frequency coming in the other side of your brain. And what happens is the difference between them creates a key of its own. And it is that key, that harmonic, that Vesica Pisces, that note that is created from the difference between the two is what becomes active in your brain in your neurological system or in your body. And you can look up, and I have looked up Tesla frequencies, Rife frequencies. I have a whole freaking list, and I will use different forks to create different harmonic binaurals. The difference between the two creates a note of its own, and that's what creates the active ingredients. So for instance, in Malta, right, there is this fantastic underground chamber. It's built into the bedrock that was used for healing. The whole room resonates at 110 hertz. The whole room. It's a key healing frequency for Tesla and for Rife. So if I have, for instance, I want to calm somebody out who's right, I want to calm them out. Well, I can get my tuning fork that is theta to bring him down, or I can use two tuning forks that between the two of them, the difference that creates is within that theta range. So I can do that. I was farting around one day and I discovered that two forks in the Fibonacci, no, in the solfeggio set, two forks in the solfeggio set, I can't remember which ones. I was just farting around and I played them together. I was like, oh, that's really powerful. I can really feel that. And I happened to look up on my chart of Rifean frequencies, and that frequency is a lung clearer. Well, heck, didn't we have a lot of lung issues there a couple of years ago with a certain C something, right? Very powerful, very effective. So if you get into tuning forks, start small, get like 2 tuning forks, get an introductory kit. Get like a starter kit of like 2 tuning forks, and then get used to what you're doing. But if you really want to get into tuning forks, if you're a massage therapist or a Reiki practitioner or doing any kind of therapy, get your tuning forks and start looking at Rife healing frequencies and check your blendings. Okay, Soma energetic. David and Tim, hey guys. No, I don't make any money off of this. I'm just telling you what's real. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk about are magnets, and I have to be careful about this because I obviously can't get powerful magnets too close to my computer. So acupuncturists have been using magnets forever, but even older than that. What used to be called lodestones, magnetite-rich stones. Let's see, I think Periclesis talked about using lodestones, which is using a magnet. Cleopatra is supposed to have used magnet lodestones on her face for facelifts. Yeah, so it's very non-invasive, very effective therapy. And since the world changed, people have been learning all kinds of non-invasive things. Now, I'm not talking about the magnets that you put on your refrigerator, nor am I talking about the kind of magnet that lifts up a car at the dumpster. They're not made out of metal. They're made out of rare earth. They're made out of boron and neodymium, 2 rare earths. They're very fragile. They're ceramic, essentially. So the best thing for you to do when you get magnets is to make sure that they come in some kind of coating. So these are actually coated in like plastic, and you can't see because I've got the black and white filter on, but one side is green and one side is black, so you know positive from negative. Or you can also get these, which are in leather, and one side is red and one side is black. Can't tell because I've got the black and white filter on. So you know what side is positive and what side is negative. And that's important when you place them on the body. It also keeps them from breaking because they're, and I learned that the hard way. I had a big collection of pure ceramic magnets, and they're not cheap. I broke them all in a very short period of time. Duh. They were cheaper to buy them that way. I didn't spend the extra money and get the ones that are either coated in leather or coated in plastic. So how does this work? Okay, so acupuncture works on the premise of bioelectricity in your body. Your heart is a bioelectrical battery. You have iron in your blood. An acupuncturist puts a needle into a point where there's restriction. That metal in that magnet or in that needle is activated by the iron in your blood. It creates an interference, but it's also kind of a, you know, like a spark plug, right, to that place. And it ultimately allows blood to flow, lymph to flow, and then the bioelectricity to flow. That's how it works. Well, the problem is not everybody wants needles stuck in them or don't have access to them. That's where shiatsu and acupressure come in. You know, you learn to develop the sensitivity of your palpation skills, and you just press in with a certain intention. Okay, so now with that premise, I can use a tuning fork, right? I can find something, whether it's on an acupuncture line or not. I can find a restriction, and I want to give it some juice, so I can put a tuning fork right there instead of an acupuncture needle. Or I can put a magnet there. Because you have to keep hitting the tuning fork. You don't have to do anything with the magnet. You just have to create a circuit. So usually the way it works is you put the negative part where the pain is. And then you create, you know, like a circuit. You take the positive part, and it depends on where it is. You create a circuit somewhere. I mean, there's a whole very complicated, very expensive, very extensive training program that you can take, more than one. They're wonderful, they're very expensive, and you go into a lot of stuff, but they work, okay? But maybe you don't want that. Maybe you just want to think about, well, God, my shoulder hurts. Where do I put my magnets? Put the negative point where the pain is, put the positive point on the other side of the joint somewhere. It's that simple. Now, if it happens to be a place where, you know, you can't just lay, you can't lay down, then you can get some kinesio tape and you can tape the magnets to you. They keep working. Whereas the tuning fork, you have to bong, or the bowl you have to bong, or you have to stand there with the hypervolt. The needle, you can't keep needles in you all day, but you can keep magnets on you for a long time if you want to. You can sleep in them. So yeah, you can put them on you and attach them with kinesio tape, or if you don't want kinesio tape, just get some like masking tape, duct tape, that works too. And then you've got the healing properties of the premise of acupuncture, but it's not invasive. And you're working with that bioelectrical field. Now, how can you make that better? Make sure you drink a lot of water, keep the systems flowing freely. These things pinch, be careful. I just pinched my finger. And also remember, these are super strong. These are not refrigerator magnets. These will take out your phone. So don't put these in your purse with your phone or your credit cards. Yeah, so there are lots of places you can buy magnets from, and they can be as simple as what I just said, but they are great tools for anybody with any kind of chronic pain. If you have an injury and you're all swollen and you want to make sure that the swelling goes down very quickly and you don't have someone like me around that can do lymphatic drainage and osteopathic releases, you can use magnets to keep that lymph flowing, right? Out of your face, down into your mastoid process, down your neck, and into your sternocleidomastoid. So yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to talk to you today about some of the things that I do, not only because these are the things that I do, and you can contact me about them, but also for self-care. I mean, I am of the belief that if you work in the therapeutic profession, then you should be a therapist first. And something that, let me put it this way. When I was working in pro sports, if I didn't get my athletes better quickly and in a sustained way, I didn't have a job. I wouldn't be asked back to that event. I wouldn't get the next job. I wouldn't have a job, right? This is not massage envy. We're not just doing spa massages. No, we're, you know, WWE. I worked for WWE. These guys and girls put their bodies through a lot of hell, and we have to keep them coming back and increase their ability to keep kicking butt in ways that don't hurt them. So it wasn't my repeat customers or, oh, that massage felt so good. That had nothing to do with anything. We were more like a pit crew at NASCAR, right? Get in, get out, keep rolling, right? That's what I went to massage school for, to ultimately train to work in pro sports. So it's a completely different idea about massage than most people have. I really could care less if you're comfortable or not, or pampered. I'm not paying any attention to whether you feel pampered or not. And if you're uncomfortable, well, we're probably getting to something that needs to be released. And we're going to move it to a point of release so your body can realign and you can return effectively to your movement, whatever that movement is. So it's a different attitude than like the spa down the street. But what I brought that up for was, if I don't create discernible results, I'm out of a job. It's not about how many people keep coming back. In pro sports, I don't want people to come back. if the same athlete keeps coming back, I suck. First of all, the athletic trainers will see that and fire me. And second of all, you know, it's not about soothing touch. We're working on something here. But a larger factor than that is the motivating force for me to go to massage school in the first place, and then to go through years and tens of thousands of dollars of training after that to get where I got, was, and athletic trainers are trained the same way, your career is based on obsolescence. You're not supposed to need me. I'll help you get through this hiccup, and I will help educate you about things that I know that can help you be more effective in your movement, more efficient. And I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to help you engage more of your healing process. But you're not supposed to keep coming back to see me, because if you do, I'm not doing my job. I'm a huckster taking advantage of you. And that's still the attitude I have in the work that I do in the private sector now. I'll help you through a process, but I'm going to educate you. So if you just want to lay there and have a nice massage, you're not going to be happy, because I'm going to be talking to you the whole time and explaining things to you, so you are aware. And that's athletic therapy. It's a different realm. But I brought all that up because it's the reason I'm doing this. Yeah, you can contact me. Medusa was framed at 7@gmail.com. It's all going to be in the links below. You can do that, and I can help teach you. Or if you want some kind of remote pranic healing Reiki session, we can do that too. Absolutely. Sure, of course. Or if you're in the area, give me a call. I'm mobile. I go to you and bring the body work and the tools to you. But that only works if you do the homework that I taught you when I was there. And so education about things like this that can help you, can help your family, can help your pets, can help your plants. Oh my God, put magnets in your garden. Oh my God, will your stuff grow like crazy? And your pets too. From where I come from, and the athletic rehab world is, yeah, obsolescence is part of the work we're trying to do. We're supposed to get you to a better place, educate you, and then send you on your way, knowing that you're better. Now, do you need to call me and ask me questions, or, you know, I need a tune-up or this or that? Yeah, sure, of course. But if you have to come and see me every week, week after week after week after week, I'm not talking about you just had breast cancer surgery and we're doing lymphatic drainage and PT. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you see me every week for years, every 2 weeks for years. I'm not doing my job. I'm not doing my job. You shouldn't need to see me that often. You should be doing these things yourself. And that's just a personal ethic of mine. That was part of the world I was in, and it makes sense. I mean, yes, doctors spend a lot of life and death getting to the point where they are, but I don't think anyone should be rich from someone else's dis-ease. I just think that's immoral. Okay, so enough of that. Cheers to you. Thank you for hanging out with me on my floor here in St. Augustine. Hope you enjoyed. I will have the links for the businesses that I spoke of in the info below. I'm going to see if I can pop back to the on Guru screensaver there. Ah, yes, success. So yes, thank you again to Michelle and Melody and Buffy, who are helping onboard me into this new community of independent coaches and researchers and educators, and basically operating on the premise that you shouldn't be wasting your time with people whose televisions are bigger than their bookcases. This is Joyce at Medusa Was Framed. I had so much fun hanging out with you today. Thank you for letting me yip and yap, and I hope that was helpful. I hope you learned something, and as always, if you have any questions about any of that stuff, you want a little more information, just shoot me an email. That'll be in the comments too. Medusa Was Framed 7@gmail.com is my email, and I would be happy to help walk you through some purchases if you like, or yeah, if you're interested in any of the work that I do, happy to help you with that too. So thank you so much. Pour yourself a glass of wine. I'm going to, and I'll see you at the next one.